Okay, so now we move again to an association, and the SSI is looks like it has become famous now. The two already. The first two speakers mentioned the SSI, and Longi even announced that they will join the SSI soon. So we're happy to have with us Alexia Ruvoletto, who is the head of Secretariat of the Solar Stewardship Initiative, and she will talk about fully transparent product sourcing along the solar module supply chain. Alexia, please.
Thank you, Michael, for the introduction, and good morning, everyone, or good afternoon if you're based in China. Indeed, thanks also to the previous speaker for mentioning the SSI. It's great to have others do the work for you. And it is a pleasure to be invited here at this conference, which focuses on sustainability in the solar sector. Sustainability is the main driver of the Solar Stewardship Initiative, and indeed it's in our DNA. And I'm very proud to be here today to discuss our latest developments. So indeed, first of all, let's start with a short introduction for the benefit of our audience on what the Solar Stewardship Initiative is. So in technical terms, we call it a sustainability assurance program. In simpler words, it's a benchmark and it's a way to measure that solar products are sustainable. The SSI approach is unique because it encompasses not only ESG performance of production sites, but also traceability of materials and specifically silicon at this stage. Its design is multi-stakeholder, meaning that not only the industry is contributing to this movement, but also civil society and non-industry stakeholders such as finance and international organizations. Currently, we're supported by 44 members along the whole solar value chain, including major EU and global players in the PV manufacturing side, as well as project developers and utilities. This organization also includes 5 of the top 10 PV module suppliers globally and the leading solar project developers across Europe, including the UK. The SSI approach is also supported by leading financial institutions who are contributing to its development. The Solar Stewardship Initiative works with its partners and supporters towards these 5 key objectives. These are ensuring that the energy transition is just, inclusive, and respects human rights, transparency on components and materials origin, enabling continuous improvement of ESG performance, build the confidence of regulators, customers, and partners on the sustainability of the solar value chain, and last but not least, prepare the solar sector for upcoming laws on responsible supply chains like the CS-DDD and the forced labor ban. And this is not to replace legislation, but on the contrary, to support compliance and enforcement. The ESG standard was the first big concrete milestone that we had. We published it in December 2023 after a pilot and after a public consultation where a coalition of civil society, academia, and finance and policymakers provided valuable input to the first draft. Now SSI members are preparing their facilities to undergo the official assessment at the end of the year through to Q1 2025. The ESG standard is based on and references international standards such as the UNGPs, the OECD guidelines for responsible business conduct, and the ILO conventions. And you can see the requirements of the standard on this slide. When the assessment is completed, the process ends with a score, so a production site can either get gold, silver, or bronze. This is extremely important to compare sites and suppliers, but also to measure overall progress of the sector. Major non-conformances with the standard will prevent certification, and minor non-conformances will be followed up by auditors with a concrete improvement plan and with the SSI Secretariat support. And you can see the definition of major non-conformance and minor non-conformance in the slide. I'm very happy today to disclose our latest development. So the Supply Chain Traceability Standard, this is indeed our latest milestone, and we had a dedicated multi-stakeholder working group within the SSI who has been working on this first draft since March. And now this draft will be tested on the ground through a pilot, just like we did for the ESG standard. And it's also on public consultation, so anyone can contribute to the first draft, and the window is between now and October. We expect to publish this standard, the final version of this standard, in December. The first draft provides uniform requirements on how a traceability system should be. It focuses on silicon as the main material to trace, and it proposes a chain of custody model that is called segregation. And basically this means that no mixing between SSI certified silicon and uncertified silicon is allowed to be able to achieve, for the site to achieve the traceability certification. So the SSI Secretariat is organizing a webinar to discuss the first draft with the public on the 4th of September. I invite you all to join for more details on the standard and the public consultation. And I also invite you to spread the word and support us, especially with your stakeholders. Besides the milestone regarding the traceability standard that I just mentioned, in this slide you find the most important steps that we will be undertaking from now until 2025. The first ESG assessments will take place in Q4, so starting from October of this year through to Q1 of next year. And something very important that we will be working on from October onwards is SSI Buyer's Guide. This will help both big and especially small companies with their procurement and how to integrate human rights and environmental due diligence in their purchasing practices. There are many standards, programs, and certifications out there. However, the SSI is fundamentally different in both the process and the approach that we have taken to design it. Which makes it the only program that takes into account the geopolitical context and the increased scrutiny that the solar sector is facing due to its exponential growth. This collaborative approach that underpins the SSI is what allowed it to achieve a strong solar industry buy-in and be uniquely positioned to use the collective leverage to drive sustainability and supply chain transparency in the value chain. This collaborative approach also applies to the SSI developing into a fully multi-stakeholder initiative, and this is something the Secretariat is currently working on. Not only the SSI is setting uniform requirements covering environmental, social, and governance, but it is also providing third-party verification to ensure that those requirements are effectively implemented on the ground. This is much more robust than relying on desk research or company statement or second-party audits. And finally, not all programs have the same emphasis on traceability and product certification, which we strongly believe are necessary additions to proper due diligence to ensure that companies can make the right product claims and provide the right information to customers and consumers. So finally, let me conclude by saying that we're halfway through our journey to maturity, and we have achieved a significant global market share, which enables the SSI to drive progress in the sustainability of the solar sector. The sites that will go through the ESG certification this year have a combined capacity of 100 gigawatts, and this is more than the installation targets for 2024 for the EU and the UK combined. So it's an important number. We're working hard to enable the transition to a multi-stakeholder governance by the end of this year. And the robustness of a multi-stakeholder design has obtained an important legislative recognition by the EU Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive. For all these reasons, we believe the SSI is a very strong answer, the strongest answer that you can give to your customers when they ask you to prove that your company truly cares about the sustainability of the solar sector. So thank you so much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your feedback and questions.
Thanks, Alexia. That was a nice, concise overview. And it seems there's still some work to do. Maybe briefly, you said it is a very comprehensive product you're offering. So when companies do that, does it also mean they can leave other certification efforts behind? Because when I looked at what the two manufacturers were showing in the prior presentations, there were so many certifications, which cost obviously a lot of time, efforts, money.
So, I mean, we're obviously everything that the manufacturers have already been done is useful, also in terms of obtaining an SSI certification. I'm not saying you should throw everything that you have done so far in the trash. Absolutely not. On the contrary, it's important to show your journey to your customers and stakeholders. But the idea of the SSI is to streamline efforts and to have something very comprehensive and very robust that can also answer to the questions and concerns of stakeholders and policymakers. So that's what we're trying and we're striving to do, and what we're determined to do in the next few years.
Okay. I think since we're still a little bit late, I'll be a little bit delayed, although I think you were great in time. I think I would leave it here. There are a few questions, Alexia, in the chat. If you still have time, actually, and could answer them, there are, I think, a few maybe also related to you directly on what silver use in the past.
Should I address them in the chat? I can also address one very quickly.
In the chat, I think there are a few. Okay.
Great. Okay, we'll do so. Thanks
a lot.